And if you ask me her apology she had today, initially, it was, yeah, I did it and I'll do it again apology.
We're both abusive, mentally, verbally, physically, everything. And if I'm going to be on this and keeping it real, as we've been abusive to most of this relationship.
Corey Holcomb didn't just call Sha'Carri Richardson messy, he went straight for her whole reputation on his podcast in front of thousands. Instead of just cracking jokes like other comedians, Corey tore into the one thing Sha'Carri had been holding on to, her victim's story about Christian Coleman, and the way he did it? Brutal. He flat out accused her of lying about being in a DV situation, then dropped receipts that flipped everything upside down. Now the internet is in a frenzy, asking the same burning question. If Corey's telling the truth, how long has Sha'Carri been faking the victim role? Sha'Carri isn't just getting dragged online, she's heated, furious that someone as loud, raw, and unapologetic as Corey Holcomb is blasting her name with no filter, because once Corey starts talking, everybody knows. He doesn't walk it back, he doubles down. And that's why her meltdown right now is hitting another level. But before we dive into how wild Sha'Carri's reaction has been, let's rewind. Because this only makes sense when you see just how long she's been leaning on that victim image, and how badly Corey's call-out cut right through it. The breaking point didn't even come from Sha'Carri herself. It came the second Corey pulled up on his show and said out loud what fans had been whispering for months.
Hey y'all, it's Sha'Carri, and more than anything, definitely a lot of self-reflection, a lot of understanding of not only putting myself in a compromised situation, but somebody that I have a deep care and appreciation for as well is something that holding myself accountable. I see myself, I'm taking this time to not only see myself, but get myself a certain level of help that overall is going to reflect who I truly am in my heart and my spirit.
He looked dead at the camera, sighed, and dropped the bomb. Sha'Carri was dead wrong for trying to land Christian in jail when she was the one putting hands on him, and he claimed she knew exactly what she was doing, because in situations like that, she had the upper hand, and she was playing it hard. I can't forgive you for that. That single line lit social media on fire. Up until that moment, Sha'Carri had been working overtime to protect her image, playing the role of the one who got hurt, the one who deserved sympathy. But Corey wasn't buying it. He wasn't just calling her out. He was ripping open the whole playbook, showing how she twisted sympathy into a shield to dodge accountability. And when Corey Holcomb calls somebody a liar, it sticks like glue. That's when Sha'Carri completely lost it. She snapped online, firing off at Corey, threatening lawsuits and blasting him for being insensitive. But here's the kicker. Corey wasn't making stuff up. He was pointing right at the same receipts everyone else had already seen.
This thing here is something that I see too often, where you try and get the male that's with you in trouble with the authorities because you know most of the time you have leverage over the male when you say something's wrong. I don't like people who do that in this society. If you are a female who tries to use her gender to get the man you with arrested intentionally. They saw her throwing headphones at the man and everything. But when the police came, she acted like it was the other way around. Right. I can't forgive you for that.
Sha'Carri's story didn't fall apart overnight. The cracks were showing long before Corey put it under the spotlight. Let's rewind back to when she first linked up with Christian Coleman. On camera, they looked like the ultimate track and field power couple. Flashy, fearless Sha'Carri paired with a disciplined, quiet Christian. Fans called them the sports it couple. But behind the cameras, that picture-perfect image was already falling apart. Christian's own family caught it first. They noticed how Sha'Carri was always in control. Christian skipping family dinners because she needed him. ducking calls because she was always hovering. Even teammates whispered about how intense she was with him. And Christian himself? He moved like he was trapped. Every time someone criticized her, he defended her like his career depended on it, not out of real love, but out of fear. That's why Corey's bombshell about her lying in that DV situation hit so hard. It wasn't just some wild smear. It lined up perfectly with a pattern she'd been running for years.
I didn't know him. I didn't do anything wrong, but the fact that your guys are doing this to me and he's the man in this situation, I'm gonna comply. I am. I'm not gonna argue with you at all. But you have me on camera, but at the same time, what he has on camera, I have my phone, show something different. So if I need to show that, I will.
Let's talk about her past with ex-girlfriend Janique Brown, because that story cracks the whole victim image wide open. Janique spoke on it during an interview with podcaster Kareem Boyds, and you could tell right away she wasn't chasing clout and she wasn't begging for sympathy. She just wanted the truth out there. According to Janique, that relationship was toxic on both sides, mentally, verbally, and physically. And the way she reacted when the interviewer asked if she'd ever go back, that said it all. She flinched before answering and called the relationship a painful lesson she was glad to escape from.
Did the toxicness get physical? Because there were claims that she was being abused, but the last conversation that you and I had, you also said that it was on both ends.
Yes, we were both abusive, mentally, verbally, physically, everything. And if I'm going to be on this and keeping it real, as we've been abused to most of this relationship, and other people, there's people who've seen that, people who know that, and we still honestly come and go, toxic, push and pull, and still get over the obstacles until I said, I have learned my lesson. I don't want to go over no more of these obstacles, right? With the same thing. So it's time for me to cut the ties and learn the lesson and move on, right? Me moving on now is where we've been abusive come about, like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what is the reason for posting that now. Is that a strategy? Is that something for marketing? Is that for business? I don't know, because you still have my email, right? And my mailbox is empty. As I said, there's no mail in there. So for the people out there telling me what to say about charge, mom, she put it on the internet, so the more answer on the internet, right? If they're going to charge me, they're going to charge me. If they're not going to charge me, they're going to charge me. And I doubt that, because we both have our receipts and stuff.
Now here's the wild part. Janique didn't just pop up randomly to drag Sha'Carri. She spoke out because Sha'Carri pushed her hand. It started when Sha'Carri threw shade on Instagram, basically blaming the entire downfall on Janique and painting her as nothing more than a crazy ex. The post was cold. Sha'Carri wrote, "I was in a relationship with a Jamaican athlete that never cared about me from the jump. I was lied to and stolen from, yet I still protected her from the judgment of her country and family while they dragged me. I had to deal with homophobia and so much more that I'm still healing from." That post worked like a charm for Sha'Carri. She played the victim card so perfectly that Janique was instantly canceled. The internet turned on her overnight, while Sha'Carri got to play the survivor role. But eventually, Janique couldn't take it anymore and was forced to tell her side of the story. And even then, she still held back, still tried to protect Sha'Carri, even excusing that Instagram post as nothing more than damage control. And remember, this all came after Janique revealed that Sha'Carri had threatened her and even teamed up with people behind the scenes to sabotage her. When Janique spoke on it, you could literally hear the tremble in her voice, like she was reliving the nightmare all over again. That's exactly why Corey's call-out hit so hard. Because he isn't creating a brand new scandal. He's connecting the dots to a pattern that started with Janique, bled into Christian, and proves Sha'Carri has been flipping the victim script for years. So when that airport footage with Christian Coleman leaked, nobody was shocked, except Sha'Carri, who scrambled to spin it her way. But the problem? Cameras don't lie. That video showed it plain as day. Sha'Carri was the aggressor. Over and over, she shoved Christian, swung on him, even when he tried to walk off. And Christian's body language told the whole story. He didn't react like it was new. He froze, head down, shoulders slumped. The posture of someone who had been through it before. That one clip ripped her narrative to pieces. But instead of owning up, she doubled down harder. When the cops showed up, she flipped the script fast. First, she brushed it off as just a regular couple's fight. But when she realized she was the one getting cuffed, suddenly Christian was the villain. She called him a coward, accused him of setting her up, even claimed he was the one putting hands on her. And Corey? He exposed that tactic right on his podcast. He said Sha'Carri knew exactly how the system worked, and she was ready to use it against Christian, even if it meant ruining his whole career in the process. Corey even doubled down with a personal story about his own son, saying he once warned him to stay away from women with violent streaks like Sha'Carri. But his son didn't listen and ended up catching a DV charge, sent off to a rehab program, while the woman who set him up walked away completely free. That raw story hit hard because it showed Corey wasn't just clowning. He'd seen firsthand how that same game plays out. Fans were glued to every single word coming out of Corey's mouth. He wasn't just labeling Sha'Carri a liar. He was laying out the blueprint of how she bends the truth and why people need to stop shielding her. The comment section went wild. Had no idea Sha'Carri Richardson was like that, but I'm not surprised. Another flat out wrote, Sha'Carri Richardson is an abuser, but no word from her sponsors or the Olympic Committee? Interesting. But then came the real twist. Christian himself stepped into the spotlight. Instead of finally standing up for himself, he defended her in an interview, saying she needed grace and help, not punishment. He didn't look like a man speaking his truth. He looked broken, like the words were scripted, handed to him by somebody else. Viewers caught it instantly. Christian couldn't even keep eye contact. His shoulders slumped, his voice flat. Everything about him screamed fear. Corey replayed that clip on his show and pointed straight at it, calling it out as proof of just how deep Sha'Carri's manipulation ran. And that's when she exploded. Because Corey wasn't just calling her out anymore, he was tearing down the carefully polished image she had built. Her next move? A so-called apology video. 1 minute long, smiling the whole way through like it was a comedy skit. She claimed she was reflecting and taking accountability, but the energy was all wrong. It didn't read as remorse at all. It looked like pure performance. Corey didn't let that fake apology slide. He shredded it live on air. He straight up mocked her, saying, "That ain't no apology. That's somebody laughing at y'all while she gets away with it." Fans ate it up, flooding Twitter with outrage. One tweet read, "Her apology video had zero remorse. Sickening." Another blasted Christian directly. "This is abuse language 101. He needs to get away from her before he ends up unalived." So Sha'Carri tried again, this time with a long IG story aimed at Christian. She wrote, "My apologies should be just as loud as my actions, honestly louder. To Christian, I love you and I'm so sorry." But by then, nobody was buying it. The comments were savage. Some called her out for fake tears. Others demanded she be booted from the league. One user wrote, "She's apologizing for the video, not the action. Big difference." Another snapped, "Sha'Carri Richardson is an abuser, but no word from sponsors or the Olympic Committee." Interesting. Corey kept the pressure on, reposting those fan reactions to show how quickly her facade was cracking. And then it got worse. Fellow athletes, close friends, even people tied to Christian started choosing sides. They weren't backing her. They were rallying with him. Cryptic posts started popping up across timelines. No matter how good you think it is, there's always better. Choose yourself. Those words hit hard because everybody knew exactly who they were talking about. That's when the fallout slammed Sha'Carri the hardest. Corey wasn't just dismantling her story publicly anymore. The people closest to Christian were cutting her off too. Behind the scenes, she was spiraling, ranting in private, raging at friends, throwing around lawsuit threats at Corey, even claiming the whole world was plotting against her. The louder Sha'Carri screamed, the clearer it became. She was losing control. All that raging, all the posts, all the threats, it just made the cracks in her story impossible to ignore. And then came the collapse. Christian went ghost, silent. No posts, no interviews, no statements, nothing. It was like he vanished from the spotlight overnight. The last time anyone saw him, boarding a flight overseas. Since then, radio silence. And that silence speaks louder than any statement ever could. Fans are convinced it's not just distance. It's escape. They're saying Christian dipped out to protect his peace, maybe even to protect his career, because sticking around Sha'Carri's chaos was only dragging him down. Meanwhile, her whole image is in shambles. Sponsors still ducking the drama, fellow athletes backing away, and Corey Holcomb refusing to let up, reminding everybody exactly why her victim narrative never lined up. The empire she built on sympathy is crumbling in real time, and Christian's silence is the final nail. Because when the one person who could have defended you chooses to disappear instead, that's not loyalty, that's survival. Like, share, and subscribe to Public Secrets, because trust me, this story is only getting messier.